Hey guys, on here. It is finally time for us to dive into the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. At least season 1 for now. There are talks and rumors of possibly a season 2, but as of right now, this is still considered a limited series, so the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Guys, last episode, Vader is hot on Obi-Wan's trail as their ship has lost their hyperdrive capacity, and, you know, he's right behind him with the Star Destroyer. We'll have to see how that whole thing pans out. Reva has found out some information regarding Obi-Wan's time on Tatooine, or, well, that he's been on Tatooine. She didn't even know that up to this point. Owen's name was mentioned. Things are probably starting to click, and she's, if she survives this, pulls herself through, which I'm sure she will find her way back to those beautiful dunes. We have to end up there by the end of the show anyway to get Obi-Wan back where he was and where he needs to be, and hence I'm wearing my Tatooine Twin Sons shirt here, so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to what this epic rematch that has been promised as we've been teased for the finale of this season. So let's just jump into this thing, man. I've been loving the ride so far. It's been just, I don't know. I've just really been enjoying every episode of this show. Has it been perfect? No. Has there been some flaws? Sure. But my God, I've been having a blast with it. And it's given me some legitimately great moments. And some great moments that I would even list as some of my favorite moments in Star Wars history. So it's not perfect, but I don't know. Some people are really getting upset with it, and I do understand, you know, people feeling a certain way about the show and their expectations, the things they want out of Star Wars. But for me, I've been eating this up. Before we jump into this, if you're part of the 67% of people that are watching the channel, you're not yet subscribed, or maybe you're tuning in for the very first time here today, I'd really appreciate it if you consider hitting that subscribe button, maybe even leave a little like if you enjoy this reaction here today. We cover all things DC, Marvel, Star Wars, and a lot of other tertiary pop culture stuff. You know, we're covering The Boys right now, and we're gearing up and ready for Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 2, and a whole bunch of other stuff coming down the pipeline. Try to mix it up and have a little bit for everybody here on the channel. If you're interested in the full-length reaction of this episode or any of the previous ones, you can check those out over on Patreon, or if you become a member of the channel, gets you access as well. It is in watch-along format, so just sync up your own footage with the time code, and you see my reaction to the entire episode. We also have full-length movie reactions over there, where you actually get to help choose what we add to that list every month. We got monthly Q&As, behind-the-scenes footage, trying to make it worth your while since you are going out of your way to support the channel. But of course, I know how we can do that, and a simple way you can help us out is just by liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing these videos, because it really does go a long way with helping YouTube promote the channel. With that all said and done the way, guys, let's finally head into the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here we go.
Something you want to say?
I have something to say.
Wait your turn. You can have...
Oh, wow. She's already here.
I'm looking for a farmer. Name's Owen.
How did she beat them there? Evasive maneuvers.
They're scared. She keeps their minds off of her.
Maybe I should borrow her too.
Man, you can just tell like the light in his eyes from episode 1 to now.
Owen?
Uh-oh.
No, wait, you can't just leave me here.
I'm the one that Vader wants. If I go, he will follow.
I'm not letting you.
Leia, please. We'll buy you the time you need. You must get these people out of here. You are all the future. You are the future. You're what needs to survive. Leia!
I find she needs to be given space. Just you must promise me that you'll get her home, Haja, as soon as I'm in the clear.
You have my word. Although I know the word of a liar and a fake Jedi may not mean much to you.
It's good enough for me.
He knows the character of your heart, man. He can sense it. People do shitty things when they're on hard times, man.
What is it?
I'm on his side.
Damn.
How did she know it was here?
Owen's gonna have to bust some heads.
Ben is gone.
Whose fault is that?
We need to take Luke and hide somewhere.
Where? In the desert? I'm not leaving my home. At least here we have a chance.
Wow, man. I mean, that adds some context to probably how they handled the stormtroopers that showed up in 4.
Rue, what are you doing?
We both both knew this day might come. She'll come when the suns go down. Best we get positioned now.
Farmers, man.
I have something for you. Roken found it before we got out. She would have wanted you to have it.
It's empty.
Well, I wasn't going to give you a blaster, Leia. You're 10 years old. But you won't always be.
We're tracking an escape craft. There's one life form aboard.
That's him.
Now is our chance to wipe out this network. We cannot prioritize one lone Jedi.
He is not just any Jedi. Follow Kenobi.
At once, Lord Vader.
Man, those shots of Tatooine are just gorgeous, man.
Tuskens are on the hunt again. They're raiding farms along the waste. So stay in here. If anything goes wrong, you know what to do. You run. Everything's gonna be fine.
Owen is a good dad, man, though. Like, he might be overbearing, restrictive, but he loves him, man. Where are we going to? Where are we fighting? Where is this? I mean, it could just be some random rock. Landscape's not that too familiar to me. But it's spiky and epic. Oh, she gave him Lola. Obi-Wan doesn't have good luck with droids, though. Let's be real. R4, man. How many times have you, like, been exploded? I mean, she's not in great shape. Like, she's skulking around. All right, man. Dude. That shot. Ooh, man. I want a high-res 4K of that. That's a wallpaper right there.
Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan?
I will do what I must.
Yo!
Then you will die.
Yeah, man. Oh, 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 oh! Oh, he's got both hands up now. Dude, I'm loving it. I just love how they have signature moves. They have a specific way that they fight. It's like, it's their personality in the moment. Storytelling in the fight. Ah. Damn.
Your strength has returned, but the weakness.
Oh, whoa. Dude. Oh, jeez.
And that is why you will always lose.
Yo. He's got the high ground now. Dude, oh my lord.
Did you truly think that you could defeat me? You have failed, Master.
It ain't over yet.
You really love the boy. Like he's your own.
He is my own.
If anything, this show's made me love Owen even more. Oh.
Bro, she's coming!
Damn. Nice, dude. Yo. Oh. Holy shit, man. Good Lord. Holy fuck. Dude, that's a move in Old Republic. Damn, man. This is some fucking scaled up power shit, dude. I love it. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh man, his breathing.
I'm sorry, Anakin. For all of it.
I am not your failure,
Obi-Wan.
You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. The same way I will destroy you.
Then my friend is truly dead. Goodbye, Darth.
Gosh, I love the mixing of it with his broken helmet.
Luke.
She can't do it. She can't be Anakin. He just blitzes the ship into her. That would be hilarious.
I couldn't do it. I failed him. He killed them all and I couldn't do it.
You haven't failed them by showing mercy. You have given them peace. You have honored them.
Have I become him?
No. You've chosen not to. Who you become now, that is up to you.
I like Reva, man. Tragic, tragic character.
Probes are tracking everything.
Yo!
Perhaps your feelings for your old master have left you weakened. If your past cannot be overcome.
Kenobi means nothing. I serve only you, my master.
Damn, man. Yo.
All right. Is that a holster?
So who is it today? More cousins?
Not exactly.
What do you do now?
That's my little secret.
I think you should sleep.
I think you're right.
I love this look for Obi-Wan. Like this outfit.
When I said before that I didn't know your parents, you are wise, discerning, kind-hearted. These are qualities that came from your mother, but you're also passionate and fearless, forthright, and these are gifts from your father. Both were exceptional people who bore an exceptional daughter.
Will I ever see you again?
Maybe. Someday, if you ever need help from a tired old man, you must be careful. No one must know, or it could endanger us both.
There we go.
Goodbye, Princess. May the Force be with you.
I thought you were gonna keep your distance.
And I will. You know, you were right. He just needs to be a boy. The only protection he needs now, Owen, is you. And Beru. Take good care of him.
Ben? You wanna meet him?
Hello there.
Oh, fuck. Oh, really? Oh my god, that made me happy though. That was a great use of the hello there. Dude! Holy shit! I wasn't sure if it... Oh, we were actually going to see him. I thought maybe just a voice. Holy fuck.
Well, took you long enough.
Beginning to think you'd never come.
I was always here, Obi-Wan. You just were not ready to see. Come on, you've got a ways to go.
Man. Ah, yes. All right. We did it. Man, I gotta say, like I mentioned in the beginning, and like I've said a couple of times throughout the reactions to these episodes so far, you know, this series has not been flawless, but I loved it. I had a blast with this. Just the expansion on this period, this expansion on the relationship between Obi-Wan and Leia that really sets up the connection. And they even, like, in the script, knew to leave a couple of things here and there that some people were speculating about, and a lot of people were like, if you have to fit it into your headcanon, if you have to do the headcanon for yourself to make things fit, you know, what's the point or whatever. Well, they even included it in here, the whole thing about, like, you know, if you need me, you know, it can get us in trouble, so make sure that you're careful with it, which a lot of people had been saying is like, why does she sound like she doesn't know who he is when she's requesting his help as Princess Leia whenever she sends the message out to Luke, coding it. And it also kind of pays off their failure in doing that with Bail reaching out to Obi-Wan when Reva picked it up and was able to discern just enough out of it to get some clues out of it. I feel like it's just kind of setting up and kind of filling in some of those gaps as well, while also closing off any kind of questions surrounding that narrative. It also doesn't make any sense because obviously when you know, Luke tells her, I'm here with Obi-Wan Kenobi, or I'm here with Ben Kenobi, when he shows up as a stormtrooper, and she's like, Ben? And she gets excited. Like, in her message, she clearly only said Obi-Wan. So she knows him as Ben. So there's an established connection there. And she even goes as far out of her way to name her son Ben. So, like, this feels like a great expansion of that relationship, especially considering, even though she reaches out to him, they never share any screen time again, unless there's something else in between here, because they are setting up for Obi-Wan to not be completely beholden to watching over Luke. That, at least from what he can glean and sense in the Force, that Luke is safe right now. And then maybe just letting him be a kid while he can, because he says, like, the future will resolve itself. And it, like, just like with the will of the Force, things will come as they need to. Which is something that he was kind of held off from. It was like him being open, him being able to expand and be open to all these things because of his own pain, his guilt, his PTSD, his trauma clouding his connection. And every time he was calling out to Qui-Gon, there was not an answer, or at least he couldn't hear it. He couldn't see him. He couldn't feel him. There was no response for us. It's like Qui-Gon says, and it's like we've seen many times with the Force Ghosts periodically. Like, they're not there every second you need them, but they're aware of everything that's going on. It's because, like, I like that little line from Liam Neeson here at the end. It was just like, you just weren't ready to see. He hasn't been open to it again. Like, he wasn't in the right space to be able to commune properly. There's that tension, that imbalance that he was carrying around. He's unburdened now after that. And then after kind of exorcising Anakin and Vader from him in that last confrontation, using his strength, using his will to protect, his drive to push forward and overpower Anakin's hatred, his dark side, fervor in those moments, and just the clash between these two. I don't know if I would say it definitely doesn't reach the heights and the beauty and the artistry, I think, of their fight on Mustafar, but that was obviously both when they were their prime. But I love that as they've aged, as Anakin has become more mechanical, they rely a lot more on the Force itself. It seems like when they were younger, it was a lot more of the body. It was a lot more of the physical aspects of it. And while Vader does utilize his advantage of his cybernetics, which do give him enhanced strength, he, through that, is able to channel a lot more into himself inward to reach out and increase his strength in the Force. Because Vader is, in the comics, in the books, in lots of other things, he's got some pretty crazy Force feats. And it's nice to see Obi-Wan also match that in here, holding up that rubble that he was dropping on him, them fighting over that pillar, him blasting that out, him like just doing on a much higher scale one of those old Republic moves. Like if you're a Sentinel, man, like not a Sentinel, what's the Consular move, like with the rocks. He's just like woof, massive boulders, and it's just like pelting him, keeping him off his, not allowing him to get his ground back, get his footing. He didn't have the high ground at any point in this fight, but he stood his ground, and that was just as important. I think he had the emotional high ground in this case, and was able to push through. And I will say, though, a little bit in this that I do feel like they tried to pay off that line where Vader said to Luke, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. A little bit, though it doesn't seem like Obi-Wan tried that hard, to be honest, to get through to him. Like, he tried to apologize. He did, try to see Anakin in there, and he even still continued to acknowledge him as Anakin. And then Vader responded. And this is what I think freed Obi-Wan from his guilt of the situation. It was when he said, or his response was, you didn't fail Anakin. You didn't get Anakin killed. I killed him. He's like, I made this choice. I made this decision. You don't own what I did. He was like, that's another thing to kind of distance himself from the grasp of Obi-Wan, is to distance himself from the tutelage itself. Is like, he's got to separate that. Like, it's his want, his desire, his need to be acknowledged and to be tied and respected and honored by his master. Even to this point, I think he realized that up until now, and he was like, no, that is not what this is. And I think in this moment, like especially when he was getting battered, was that it was that need for approval that has been holding him back. And that's what I think another way that we pay off Vader's response to meeting Obi-Wan when he came back on episode 4. When we last met, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. He was still learning to be Vader. He's still not sure how to be or separate Anakin from Vader. He hasn't fully committed to Vader. He isn't fully committed to the dark side because he still has these itches in the back of his mind, and he manages to, after this conflict, manages to bury those feelings and fully execute, not fully, but snuff out Anakin enough, but leave just enough of an ember for Luke to reignite that flame and bring him back from the brink. There's a lot of beautiful ways that this pays off a lot of those lines, and while there are some like minor plot holes, I would say, in the episode itself, just as it pertains to the episode itself, as well as we've seen certain things like that throughout the season so far. Nothing that hurts like any of the later stuff. I'm just talking about continuity in this alone. We've seen some editing choices, some little bits of gaps and like certain things here and there for the story's sake. And it doesn't really bother me. Like, it does stand out. Two things in particular was just the Star Destroyer was just gone and Obi-Wan flew away and there was nobody to stop Obi-Wan's ship from flying away. I partially thought like maybe if he took like Vader's ship and flew off in that, maybe they would just not think to check it. If it just flew, Vader's ship just flew off. But did they just leave Vader to fight Obi-Wan? Just like, all right, we'll meet you back at the not Death Star because that hasn't been built yet, but we'll meet you back at the base because they weren't staking out the planet. And Obi-Wan was able to make it back to Tatooine just fine. The other thing was the fact that escape ship had a working hyperdrive, and the whole problem with the escape ship was there was no hyperdrive. Could they have not taken the part they needed from the escape pod and put it in the main ship? I'm not an engineer. Maybe those parts don't fit due to the ship type. There's probably like a deep lore reason why that wouldn't work, but I've never really gone that deep into the mechanics of the different engines and the designs of stuff like that. I know those things exist in those visual dictionaries, but I don't know. Eric over at Blind Wave could probably tell you, but it was just a thought that crossed my mind. It's just like little things like that. They just kind of like we've seen a couple of things like that throughout the episodes up to this point that, you know, this is why the show's not 100% flawless, but I still love it because it does what Star Wars, or what I expect Star Wars to do, is evoke emotion. Like, I don't come into Star Wars wholly expecting logic, you know, Breaking Bad levels of storytelling or Shakespeare or anything of the sort. It pays off these emotional journeys, these emotional moments, it's more about the elemental nature of the story. And that's what I think the show nailed for me the entire way through. I think it did a great job balancing these characters. I thought it did a really great job of establishing and expanding some of the things that we have seen or even just wondered about in the past. And it even like accentuated and made me love Beru and Owen more. You know, sure, he was being a little bit of a dick in the beginning, but obviously for good reason. He's trying to protect the kid. And the expansion on that also we see what happens at this farmstead should, you know, a breach occur, somebody come upon their land or anything like that. They have these protocols in line, these drills, if you will, prepared to protect Luke. And it just makes me wonder, you know, when those stormtroopers came up looking for him on Tatooine or looking for the droids rather in episode 4, you know, Beru and, you know, Owen probably put up a fucking struggle. No wonder they burned them. If they came up on him like this and this was the response, this was like a walking up on a Texas farm, man. I loved it. And I gotta say that I know Reva gets a lot of hate, but I don't think it's fully justified at all. I think her character, I think we could have maybe got more information about her motivations earlier, but there's a lot of subtle clues throughout her entire journey that she was just one bad day, one poor decision away from just becoming Anakin, becoming the thing that created her in the first place. And, you know, there was this anger, there was this pain, there was this need to prove herself and need for some sort of justice. And it didn't matter who was in the way of that, whether it be people she didn't know, civilians, her peers. She was going to get that. And it was because she had these loved ones, her brothers, her sisters, that she was raised with. Even though attachment was not what they were taught as kids, as Jedi, you can't help but feel that, especially after that, in the wake of this massive destruction, to carry that pain. And pain fuels Sith, Jedi. Pain, clinging to life, allows them to survive these things, man. Maul got his lower half cut off, though it goes back to why even leave her alive at the end of the last episode, but obviously they don't think of her as anything, you know, so whether she lives or die, I think is inconsequential to them. And they're also short-sighted. It's the Sith. I can justify that, them just discarding her as trash and moving on rather than finishing her off, because they could care less at this point. Even if she survives, I don't think they care about the impact she could have in the long run, which goes into their hubris a little bit. And I also like the little bit, before we come back to Reva a little bit more, I do like that speed of hubris was Vader's tunnel vision on Obi-Wan. Like, Obi-Wan in the long term was not the thing to go after in that situation. The Grand Inquisitor had the right idea. They shut down that pipeline. If they shut down this refugee line, they could cause a big, huge hurt to the future rebellion. You know, one Jedi over the possible savior of like however many more there are that are out there, destroying the path was probably the more logical decision if they were trying to win the war, but Vader was purely focused on this battle, this personal vendetta he's got against Obi-Wan. And it's the tunnel vision that he's got for his master. And I like that parallel, that contradiction, or not contradiction, that kind of like, it shows you how much Obi-Wan is clouding Vader and his judgment and his decision-making. And, you know, it comes back to that conversation that he's got with the Emperor there at the end, which was a nice little surprise, where he's like, I guess Obi-Wan, you know, you can't, if you care so much about Obi-Wan, seems to be holding you back. Is Anakin in there? Hello? I thought you were Darth Vader. And he was like, no, I gotta cut this out. Because he knows he fucked up. He let it get the better of him. And yeah, man. And Reva and her journey, like, learning her past, learning her drive, what was fueling her, what allowed her to really channel that dark side power to get to where she is. I think the biggest like hurdle, I was like, well, she hid with the bodies and she got stabbed the same way. I was like, she's a child. That's a pretty big hole in your chest, but it is what it is, man. I set up a really fun story, and I really like how her character paid off, because she was on the verge of becoming Anakin. She got that choice. She came to that crossroads when it came to Luke. She's like, I need justice for those kids, my friends that were slain. And she thought the next best way to do that would be to kill the progeny of Anakin himself. And she had that moment. She saw herself on the ground, and I thought that was just well executed. And then at the end of the day, she couldn't do it. She rejected the dark side at the end, and I liked it, man. I thought it paid off. It got me emotional, it got me worked up. I thought she did a great job in this role. Her deliveries weren't always rock solid, but for the most part, she did a great job, I think, throughout the majority of the show. And I think, especially in this episode, she really kind of sold this torn, broken, tragic character that really garnered a lot of sympathy from me. And especially with Obi-Wan coming back around from his whole arc to be the one holding out his hand to lift her up. And who knows what's open for her now. in this period, or what role she'll play moving forward too. I'm curious to see if we follow up on her in any additional stories. That'd be fun. I'd like that. I'd like to pick up with her. I think that would be cool. I think she was a great addition to this, personally. What else was there in this episode? I don't know, man. I think the good greatly outweighs any of the qualms I have with the show. Ewan McGregor was a charm. I loved the way they integrated Hayden into this, from the flashbacks to the suit to the back to tank to especially this final confrontation that we had with him and Obi-Wan with the mask. I was like, oh man, we're doing the Ahsoka thing. But no, it was a lot deeper than that. Like, I loved the way it was cutting in and out. You'd have the vocalization coming from the helmet, the labored breathing as Obi-Wan targeted his life support and knew how to just take him down and really make it hurt and make it count. It was just a really well done fight. Maybe it didn't have the flash and the flare of the prequels, but it had storytelling in every movement, in every moment, in every action. Had purpose, had some kind of link to something we've seen before, a moment we've had, a conversation we've played out, a dialogue that we've seen shared between these two. Their story was being told throughout this fight, and I thought it was really well done. And it was just driven narratively. I loved it, man. And just, again, like, the acknowledgement Vader gave Obi-Wan was like, ha, you are powerful, you're finally at full strength. But then he called out his Jedi weakness, and he was like, and then didn't realize that his fixation in this fight was his weakness. So many good moments, man. Kumail's character had a whole full arc. That was surprising. Hope he pops back up later. He was a fun character. I'd love to see his impact in the greater scheme of things down the road. There's just a lot of great characters that they introduced in this that kind of have a legacy that we might get to see continue, and one that, and some like Tala, whose legacy lives on partially and partly in Leia and in Ben, in Obi. I don't know. I think the show did a lot of really great things. I quite enjoyed it. But there's a lot to chew on. I got some editing to get to. So guys, what did you think of this episode? What did you think of the finale? What did you think of the series overall? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join us at our Discord. We can talk about it there as well. Links to that and all my socials in the description box below. If you want to check out the full-length reaction room, it's on Patreon, or if you become a member on the channel, gets you access as well. And speaking of, before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Mandy Share, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori, Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Melita, Robert Anguiano, and Cal Kestis Nation. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, and everybody who's followed along. But guys, that's it for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and hopefully I'll see you guys around for Bad Batch and whatever comes next, or just in the next video if you happen to stick around. But in the meantime, may the Force be with you always. Take care, everybody.